listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. It's not about the destination. It's about going someplace you never thought possible. Go to imaginenext.ingrammicro.com to find out more. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Keri Roberts, and my guests today are Shai Arrington, a tech support software sales leader at IBM, and Seamus Keane, a solution architect at IBM, specializing in the enhanced service portfolio. Welcome, Shai and Seamus. So excited to have you both here with us today.
Thank you, Keri. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thanks, Keri. We're very excited to be here as well.
So, of course, we've been talking a lot about on this show that there are many organizations that are working to move towards more digital transformation as they're encountering multiple IT challenges. Can you share some of these challenges that you've been seeing?
Well, Keri, organizations are really under a lot of pressures, dealing with a host of unique challenges to our time. We live in an always-on culture, so gone are the days where businesses could run the typical 9-to-5 operational hours. So productivity, availability, and to your point, innovation, it's really key for a company to stay competitive in the marketplace. So having to deal with things like unplanned outages, they not only cause a break in that productivity for innovation and necessary projects, but they also have really crippling revenue impacts and can really damage a company's brand with their consumers. So as clients are navigating through these unprecedented times with COVID, a lot of our clients have been expressing a lot of increased challenges because they've kind of had to scale their workforce back in some areas, or they have fewer IT resources being able to be on site. All of these are pushing on them being able to innovate and really get to those key projects that they need to form out that digital transformation. So with COVID impacting a lot of day-to-day operations, a lot of them are really focusing now on how to stop the bleeding, so to speak, where companies are losing revenue and they're looking at how they can stop that, how they can keep from having these strong revenue impacts. And to be frank, all of the costs associated with any unplanned outage can really be damaging. So those are a lot of the challenges that we're seeing our IT clients faced with. And that's why we're super excited to be on this call to talk about proactive services, because we really see how that can be a key benefit and vital to our clients' organizations with helping them to mitigate these challenges.
And that is an absolutely key point, because the technology that IBM sells and the others sell as well is becoming increasingly sophisticated in terms of what it can do and the power that it brings to all clients who use them. But with all of that extra versatility and power comes some challenges. The level of complexity that clients are working with on a day-to-day basis is going up at an exponential rate. And that's a major challenge, because when they buy these products, what they're really looking to do is to do two key things: run their business and maximize the return on that IT investment. But they're also looking to minimize the operational costs that they incur on a day-to-day basis. Trying to achieve both when all the complexity is going up is a real trick to try to manage. And the key thing here is that the products that they buy, they're all individual products. It's the client who actually integrates them into the overall IT environment. But those products are individual. They all come with a level of support that's specific to that product. And in many ways, they're all entry level of support. What that basically means is that when the customer has a question or the product isn't working the way they want, they call the supplier to get some help. But that supplier is going to be focused on that individual product, not necessarily on the way that it's been integrated into the client's overall IT environment. So it's a challenging environment for customers, and that's why, as IBM works with a very diverse client base in terms of who the clients are, what they have, how they use them, etc., we're working to make sure that they have a range of services and assistance from IBM that's adaptable to meet their individual needs.
No, I think you both bring up some great points. As you said, the supplier can't answer all the questions, and IBM is always trying to innovate and kind of create new things. Can you share with us how IBM's proactive entry and proactive are helping with the challenges that you both just mentioned?
Well, if we look at proactive is designed to not just be a service as such. It's designed to be more of a support solution. And that is that we acknowledge that what you have is a client who has a very, in many instances, complex IT environment. So if you've got multiple products all working together in that environment, you need a service that looks at the overall environment in as much as you possibly can, but also that it's consistent across all the different elements within that environment. So as I said before, when you buy an individual product, whether it's a server or a storage device, then what you have is a service that's focused on that particular product. With proactive support, what you have is something that's consistent across them all, so that no matter what it came with, if you add proactive support, you're going to get the same consistent high level of service for the entire IT environment. As I said, it doesn't matter if it's a server or the operating system that's running in it, if it's an IBM proprietary operating system like AIX, IBM I on Power Systems, or Linux, whether it's from Red Hat, SUSE, or Ubuntu, or if it's an open source software product like Centric Linux, or if it is VMware in the x86 environment, once again, Microsoft Windows, Linux, doesn't matter what it is, or even the storage devices attached to it, we can provide the same high level of consistent support, which makes life easier for the client. Instead of them having to remember what the individual services are for any given particular product, they know if they contact IBM, it's all going to get taken care of. Life is simple, life is easy, and that means that it's much higher potential that the customer is going to achieve their two key goals, which is IT resiliency and minimize those operational costs as much as they can. So proactive, what is it? It's got 4 separate elements which are designed to maximize what we can provide to the client. There is a named technical focal point who is physically based in the U.S. They're responsible for managing and building the relationship with the customer, basically becoming an extension of that client within IBM support. They learn everything we ever needed to know about the customer, pre-position that information so that when we work with them, we already know who they are, what they do, how they do it, when they do it, and what time they do it, so that whenever they work with us, we're able to hit the ground running and not have to reinvent the wheel and ask them all the basic questions like, have you powered it on yet? Which is the kind of thing that you can see when they have just the base type services that usually come with product purchase. That person is going to work with the customer on a regular basis. They're going to be holding at the very least quarterly status calls, but we can make them more frequent. We can make them monthly, twice per month, or even weekly if needed. We will provide them with regular reports telling them everything that's been going on within the environment and the relationship with IBM, like service activity reports, tips and techniques, various things that are designed to help them manage that environment at a much higher level, much more effective and efficient level. We also provide them with analytical tools, which are designed to provide them with deep insights as to what's happening in these supported environments. We couple that with expert advice on a regular basis. And if we become aware of things that are happening to the wider customer base that may also impact them as well, we're actively reaching out to them so that they have the most timely information that they can do something with and therefore avoid problems. Because prevention's always better than the cure. Now, we all know if you're in this business for any length of time that Murphy's Law exists, so problems are still going to happen to some degree. We can minimize the risk, but if they do occur, we have everything built in so that the customer can engage their team, which is physically located, once again, in the U.S., staffed with technical experts who have all the information on the customer to hand so that they can quickly get through to them. This team will respond either live or within a maximum of 30 minutes, 24/7. The team will first of all determine what the problem is. what the source of it is, and if they can resolve it directly, they will. And once again, they are a technical team staffed with product experts. If they can't resolve it directly, they engage the appropriate additional specialists, and they coordinate and manage their contributions to drive resolution. So this thing is very comprehensive. It's managed support, it is assistance with problem prevention, and if a problem does occur, everything we need to make it go away as quickly as possible. Because IBM does work with a very diverse client base, not just in terms of the products they use, but also the size of the customer, the number of products they have, how they use them, but also the level of complexity. We make sure that we can adapt this service to the individual customer needs by making it as easy as possible to customize that proactive service. So proactive is the number one way to drive higher customer satisfaction. And a good example of that is that IBM actually surveys our customers on a regular ongoing basis. At the beginning of this year, when we served our base support customers, once again, those are the services that come with product sale. We had a good, strong, solid score of 76. But for customers who have this proactive level of assistance, the score is 97, 21 points higher. And that's a critical thing, not just for the clients, but also for the sellers, for Ingram's customers. Because when customers have that higher level of satisfaction, it is much less likely that they have run into a post-sales issue with something they purchased in the past, which means that the profit that the Ingram sellers actually made on the product sale is much more likely to stay intact. They're not going to get pulled into dealing with post-sales issues that in many instances have nothing to do with product quality, but are actually usually as a result of internal skills or process issues. And as a result, less post-sales costs, very valuable internal resources can focus on net new sales and not having to deal with post-sales issues. And a client who's happy with what they purchased in the past is much more likely to purchase in the future. So it's a win-win for everybody concerned when we can ensure the customer has a level of service that really meets their needs. Shai, do you have any comments you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think you covered it very well. I know this is your baby, Seamus, so you know all of the ins and outs of it. But I was just thinking in terms of the challenges that we were talking about before, we live in unprecedented times and clients are dealing with unprecedented challenges. So standard support just doesn't cut it anymore to meet and rise to the occasion of those needs. With proactive support, to your point, prevention is better than the cure. To be able to mitigate issues before they even happen, I think that's at the core of the heart of why proactive is so vital to our clients today, because they don't have the ability sometimes to recover from the cost of those unplanned outages. So having that technical solution manager right there as an extension of their own team, making sure that they're continuing to be available to see that return on investment of that capital expenditure that they made for that equipment in the first place. Also being with them as they're scaling up their environment, where they're investing in increased storage options or looking at their digital transformation to cloud environments. Proactive is there across the board to be able to help them to meet those needs, those innovative challenges, and to meet them successfully, to continue to be running optimally in their environment. So it's really a great support. And we want to keep continuing to encourage our clients and our sellers to consider this support option first, because that 97 client sat rating, it's nothing to take lightly. Within those 21 points comes a lot of benefits for our clients, whether it's increasing their revenue, it's helping them to meet the new needs and challenges of the business, it's helping them to really be able to run their environment optimally, saving them money both on the front end and the back end, avoiding revenue impacts. That 21 points is key sometimes to the survival of a business and remaining competitive in the marketplace. So I think you very aptly covered just how wonderful proactive is and how it's benefiting our clients today.
Indeed. And my personal experience on this topic, it goes across the whole range. I've actually been one of the technical people delivering this type of service, and I've managed the delivery teams before I became actively involved in designing the services. And having this type of service is a major plus for any customer. When we originally started providing this type of service within IBM, it was as a result of a demand from high-end customers who had very large, highly skilled internal technical teams, and they wanted to ensure that they maximized the efficiency and the benefits of those in-house skills by having them work with similar people within IBM first time. So that's the reason why we built them. But as I said, over the years, the sophistication of the products has become such that even customers who have just one box or two boxes, they are running into the same kind of issues that the high-end customers have been running into before them. The difference is that they don't necessarily have the in-house skills in terms of depth and breadth, or even the number of resources to do all the things they need to do to maximize the return on that IT investment. So this is the quickest and easiest way for those customers to leverage all of those deep in-house IBM skills. They can get rapid access to them on an ongoing basis, and it's really a way of supplementing those in-house skills and maximizing, as I said, their investment in this incredible IT stuff that we're selling.
Yeah, and I love that you both are saying prevention is better than care, and how you've really looked at everything that's happened over these last few months and what's the best way to really provide proactive services. I think it's wonderful. You know, we talk a lot about on this show how it affects enterprises, but of course SMBs can also be impacted by all of this, which you just slightly mentioned now. How so would you say SMBs are kind of impacted by outages or other things, maybe in different ways than enterprises are? And how is IBM able to help them a little bit differently and more specifically?
Well, in the case of SMBs, you've got more of the eggs in one basket syndrome. And that is that there's far fewer machines, and those machines are doing a lot of different things. So if you have a major issue that impacts one of those servers or that one of those storage devices, and by the way, if the storage device is having a problem, doesn't matter how great the server is doing, you've got a major issue because it's all so interconnected. So as I said, eggs in one basket syndrome, anything goes wrong, then you've got a problem that's going to be a much bigger impact in all likelihood. So in that instance, what you need to do is make sure that not only are you helping those customers avoid issues, but you also have to make sure you get them back on their feet as quickly as possible. So as I said, with proactive, you have all the different elements, plus that one thing that's really going to be key if you're having a problem, which is fast, efficient problem resolution. And having those people physically located in the U.S. is something that a lot of our customers like as well, who purchase these types of services. Now, one of the things that we have done with Proactive is that based on input from major client or partners of ours like Ingram, is we need to look at the full scope of products that we support. As I said, IBM does provide a lot of different products. Some of them are very high-end, highly sophisticated products. Some of them are lower end, where both the capability of the product and the price that's charged for it are not going to be the same. So what we have done is we've introduced a new service. We're in the middle of a phased rollout with that service called Proactive Entry. Now, the term Proactive Entry is not about it being a service that helps you avoid problems. What it is a description of where it's positioned. It's basically the fast problem resolution element of full proactive that we are making available for select power and storage products. So the service itself is, once again, think of it as a 911 type service for these low-end products. It will provide a dedicated team. The team itself will be located outside the U.S., but it will be a team of product support specialists who know these products inside out. The customer will have 24/7 access to this team for Severity 1 issues. Severity 1 is where you're having a major problem. This team will respond live or within a maximum of 30 minutes, 24/7. They'll also accept severity 2s, 3s, and 4s during prime shift. And these are all technical terms that IBM uses. My apologies. But a severity 2 is a major issue, but not a complete outage. A severity 3 is a problem that you're having that you need fixed, but it's not a showstopper, or you have an urgent question. Severity 4 is you have a question, it's not urgent. So it's just the way that IBM uses to categorize issues. But in many instances in the real world, for most people, if they're calling for help, it's a severity 1 or 2. They're taking the time to get help. That's where it's usually going to be. This team will respond fast. They're technical. They can get on top of the problem quickly, and they can make it go away. Types of products that we're going to make it available for are some of our low-end storage, like the 2072 entry-level disk. And in the case of power, it's going to be on servers such as the 9008s, the 9006s, the 9183s. Those low-end servers that are usually running AIX or Linux and that are designed to really compete against the x86 market. We are making sure that a version of Proactive, and it's going to be the 911 element of it, is going to be there available for them. And it's going to be very attractively priced and easy to sell with new products. And in fact, that's one of the other things that we've been doing with Proactive as well. Over the last 12 to 18 months, we've been making it set up in various sales tools so that it can be quickly and easily attached to new product sales as well. Because these services make such a big difference, we want to make sure that Ingram and their partners are able to take full advantage of them every and all times. Shai, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of expound on what you said. Small businesses, they really have another set of unique challenges, and small businesses are definitely near and dear to my heart, as I used to be a small business owner. So you're always looking for cost-effective ways to try to be able to compete in the marketplace, to operate at that enterprise level with less. To your point, less IT staffing that are helping to back you up or that are specialized in certain areas, and also typically less machine or equipment systems that you're running your mission critical business on. You might not always have that extra redundancy and extra systems to back that system up if it goes down. So if you do have an impact, you're out of the game. So in looking at how Proactive is meeting the SMB needs, we've taken a lot of care to allow it to be price palatable to me for our SMB business. So when you look at the cost of an unplanned outage versus the cost of adding Proactive into your environment, it's really pennies on the dollar. So it's kind of a no-brainer when you're in an SMB type of environment, because you really need to have this level of service, to have IBM backing your IT staff so that you can operate at the enterprise level to be more competitive in the marketplace. I think a lot of times as a SMB, it can kind of feel like you're standing on the outside. I think we've all been in a position where we're trying to get in somewhere, whether it's a concert or whether it's a ride at Disney World, and we're waiting, we're in the sun, we're in the rain, and then we see people pass us. They have a VIP pass, they're in, they're getting a drink and enjoying everything, or they've gotten on the ride and you're still waiting. So how can you get that VIP pass? Proactive, and to your point, Proactive entry is that VIP pass, and it's at a cost that's within reach to any business really that's looking to enhance that support. It's going to get you in, get your problem solved faster. If you're in Proactive entry, if you have full Proactive, it's going to help you mitigate those issues for the most part altogether. And then if it does happen, give you also that fast path. So being able to feel like you are bypassing all of that in order to make sure your business is running and moving forward and not being impacted, it's really key. So whether you're an enterprise or SMB, this service is vital. And I can't hone in on that enough when I use the word vital, because we're living in a time where there's a lot of impacts to organizations that can really be critical. So having that type of life-saving, fast path support to get in and get things handled is important.
Yeah, I like that analogy a lot. That makes a lot of sense. And it's great for both of you being able to break down, how you're helping larger companies and organizations as well as the smaller ones. If you have a small business that maybe doesn't really have an IT team, maybe they have a person of one, when they're working with IBM and these enhanced services, is this something where they have to know so much technical information, or no, that's really where IBM can come in and help as well?
It's where IBM can come in and help as well. As I said, there's going to be a named person sitting within IBM who's responsible for building a relationship with that client. So you're going to have a technical expert who's going to be talking to the client's designated people on a regular basis. As a natural result of this, there's going to be an exchange of knowledge and thoughts and best practices from similar customers that they work with on a regular basis. So they're going to get to know and understand each other. And that's one of the things that makes proactive, especially, very different from normal base support. When you've been talking about remote assistance historically, it's kind of been impersonal. What's happening is you're dialing a number, you're getting through to somebody that you may never have worked with in the past and may never work with again in the future, and you're having to answer all kinds of basic questions. And that's because this person is having to build a picture of you on the fly. When you're dealing with a service like Proactive, which is very personalized and relationship-based, you've got somebody that's already gone through the process of learning about you and making sure that all the information that they or other colleagues of theirs need and require to help you is there at their fingertips. So they're not only going to be much more effective at what they do, but generally they're going to be providing a lot of skills transfer by just general osmosis. If they're talking to you on a regular basis and they know what you have, then it's just the natural way of things. And it makes life so much easier for everybody. As I said, this type of service is not necessarily a replacement. In fact, it isn't a replacement for the customer's in-house staff. What it is a very cost-effective way of supplementing those people. So as I said, it's skills transfers, best practices, that kind of thing. And when you put it all together, it makes a world of difference for customers.
When we're looking at kind of a broader perspective, why does having your IT infrastructure constantly running help protect your brand and your client base?
Well, the obvious answer is that, especially in current times, your IT is not just the stuff that keeps things working behind the scenes, that allows you to order products, to get your products manufactured or whatever it is. It's actually, in many ways, your storefront now as well, because that's how customers are actually purchasing things. And I'm talking about the end users living out here in the real world. They want something, they're going to the website, that's how they're buying it. If you're looking at your IT and your IT is having a problem, and by the way, it doesn't have to be a major outage. You can have a scenario that I call the death by 1,000 glitches, which is that if you have small things that go wrong, like somebody can't fill out a field on your website to buy something, then that's a major issue. The system's working, but this one piece isn't, and it's a showstopper in many ways. So these death by 1,000 glitches are all cumulative. So having your IT actually function to do all the things you need it to do is increasingly important across the board for everybody involved. If it's not working, then you got a problem. As I said before, your servers could be doing just great. But if the data that they need to access is sitting on storage that's either not functioning at all or is having issues, maybe the network that's connecting everything is not functioning at optimal levels, then everything becomes a major issue and it all starts to snowball. So that's why staying on top of the IT, making sure you avoid problems is the absolute key. Because if you're fixing a problem, it means that it's already impacting your business and your ability to actually serve your customers, generate revenue, basically do all the things you need to do. So it's a very integrated topic all the way across the board. And once again, it's not just about avoiding those big calamitous issues where something fails completely. It's making sure that everything works together as seamlessly as possible on an ongoing, regular basis. Shai, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say, in the environment that we're living in, it's highly competitive, and consumers really don't have a lot of tolerance for those types of glitches. They are looking for ease of doing business. And if you're not providing that ease of doing business, it's very easy for them to get connected with your competitors to do so. So having those types of outages, glitches, to your point, Seamus, it really can be very costly to you. Then we also have new environments where businesses are hosting other businesses for them. So if they have an issue, it can be a downstream effect, not just for themselves, but impacting a whole host of other businesses that are relying on them to keep them running optimally. So enhanced services really allows you to meet your clients' needs, which are unique to today. As I mentioned before, it used to be 9 to 5 businesses were running. You expected them to be closed and you would catch them the next day if you missed that 5 o'clock window, but that doesn't exist anymore. So clients are expected to always be on. They're expected to provide a host of services to clients that allow them to have that ease of doing business with them, or they're going to lose them altogether. So that enhanced service allows them to be able to meet that always on requirement that is in the marketplace today.
No, that's wonderful to hear that you're really reaching the whole gamut here. And one of the other things IBM is trying to help with is maximizing current and future revenue opportunities for Ingram and its partners. How are you doing this, and how has it created increased sales?
Well, I'll go first, Shai. Number one, what we've been doing is as new products come online, we're making sure that these service options are available for them. So Proactive is available for power systems. That means that it's available for AIX IBMI, the IBM proprietary operating systems. We treat them as one product. It's also available for Linux. Historically, it was distributor Linux, but now we also have coverage for an increasing number of open source software products as well that are becoming very important in the Linux world. It's also available for SAP HANA, which is a very sophisticated product from a German partner of IBM, SAP, that is used in a wide variety of different business arenas. It's a very powerful product, and we have proactive support for it so that you can have comprehensive support for all the elements that host that SAP software package. So as we go along, we expand the range of products that we make it available for. In the case of storage, it's available for all IBM storage products, including the Elastic Storage Solution, which is a sophisticated storage product made up of multiple individual components, including Spectrum Scale. We also have it available on the System Z world. And even though we don't make any x86 servers anymore, we still provide this comprehensive level of support for Windows, Linux OSS, and also for VMware in the x86 world. So once again, as we go along, we expand the range of products that we make this service eligible for. We also work closely with Ingram and similar partners to look at what they need in the real world to make sure we're in a position to address all client needs. That's why you see proactive entry in the middle of a phased deployment, so that we can ensure that there is coverage across the board, not just a one-size-fits-all service like Proactive, but we have that subset for those lower-end products where the price and the service content may be different from what it is on the rest of the product set. And of course, as the technology continues to develop and more customers are moving towards cloud environments, we continue to deploy services that are aimed into that world as well. So the IT world is evolving. Our services strategy is continuing to evolve with it.
Exactly. And I think there's really a direct correlation with how our clients are viewing the systems that our sellers have sold them with their satisfaction on the service. So even though it might not necessarily have to do with the hardware itself, understanding and viewing that ease of doing business when there is an issue, being able to not have to deal with the headaches and the holdups if there are some type of issue with the machine. They really view that directly with the machine itself that our sellers have sold. So in having that increased satisfaction right at the time that they've purchased the hardware, it really makes them want to come back and continue to invest in the brand, come back and continue to invest in the seller that sold that to them, because they know that they gave them a high quality machine with high quality service attached to it. So in looking at how we're positioning Proactive to our clients, we really are encouraging them to get this service right at the time of the hardware sale, roll it into the cap expenditure of that specific equipment, and be able to have that type of enhanced user experience through day one of owning that equipment, which will really help with them being able to maximize the ROI on that system, their investment in that system, and also for our sellers, helping them to continue to increase sales as their clients are having great user experiences. Also not having to be pulled into so many issues that might happen with basic levels of support that takes them away from their core component of selling and meeting the needs of their clients in that fashion. So Proactive really helps from both sides of the arena for our sellers themselves, and building their revenue and their reputation with their clients, and also with the clients themselves as they're making these investments in their systems, and as they're seeing the resiliency of those systems carry through.
Now, when you both think of technology as a whole, IBM is continuing to innovate, and you kind of look at the future. Shai, I'll start with you. Where do you see technology going within the next year?
We consistently hear more and more about cloud, hybrid cloud environments particularly, and the backbone of those cloud environments is really built on Linux and open source technology. So they go hand in hand. So more and more clients are buying into Linux, whether it's on a commercial basis or it's leveraging the community. And of course, with every innovation becomes new challenges, right? So having that hybrid environment where you have your physical infrastructure and then you have your infrastructure in the cloud, and these all need to interoperate together to really be successful. And mission critical applications are running in there. You're trying to do rapid app development. That is the wave of the future, and that's where a lot of our clients' objectives are. So Proactive reaches on both sides of that fence to be able to help them to run harmoniously together without impacting issues. So when you have your physical environment, Proactive covers the gamut of that, to Seamus's point on all of the AIX, the x86, the SAP HANA, all of those environments. It also reaches on the other side of the fence, which is on our Linux systems, which is on community support, where it's the vanilla level of support that doesn't necessarily have the built-in backbones that you might see from Red Hat or SUSE within their portfolio of open source. So it's giving our clients the freedom to innovate and build out these digital transformations how they want to, with having the security of knowing you have IBM there to help to support you, with having those analytics and those proactive reporting around so that you mitigate issues before they happen, and then making sure that the environment is running optimally together, interoperating together successfully, to be able to continue to be able to scale up and across those type of hybrid cloud environments. So I really see that as we continue to virtualize and digitalize, this level of support is going to be key in maintaining the health of that environment and keeping it running optimally, especially with those mission critical applications that are going to be running in those cloud environments. So IBM has taken a lot of care to make sure that we're able to, in a way, agnostically support our clients as they're going through these type of virtual and digital transformations. And Proactive is a large backbone of that support, and us being able to help our clients not just deal with issues as they happen, but mitigate them before they impact business. Seamus?
And I would support that view. I would think that the events over the last few months are actually going to accelerate the trends that we were already seeing. You're going to see a number of customers who do decide to actually continue to have their own infrastructure and IT environments. They'll be looking to both harden it in terms of updating it and modernizing it because the risk levels are at a point where they can't afford to have outages or any kinds of issues developing. They'll also be looking to ensure that they maximize the support structure around it in order to make it as hardened as they can get it. It's not just a case of upgrading the equipment, it's also upgrading the resources and the processes that they use to manage and maintain it. The cloud topic, as Shai just illustrated, is also going to become a big thing. And a lot of this is down to the fact that clients don't necessarily have the ability or want to have a lot of people physically on site managing and maintaining their environments. So if they're going to maintain or have their own infrastructure, they're probably going to want to supplement those resources as much as they can remotely. So there are things that are happening in the industry, but it really is going to accelerate a lot of the trends that we've already been seeing to Linux, to cloud, and also upgrading the IT infrastructure.
Now, we talked in great depth about all the things that you've created for SMBs and enterprises and this new enhanced service. If people want to learn more, they want to read about it, they want to ask you questions, where is the best place to do that?
Well, we have a great working relationship with Ingram where we really work hand in hand with the great Ingram Micro TSS services team to learn more about this, to even get a quick and easy quote for your environment. We encourage you to reach out to Margie Wormuth, and she's going to be the Director of Services from an IBM standpoint at Ingram, and her information, I believe, is going to be added to this at the end. She's a wealth of knowledge within herself as to the IBM relationship. We've worked with each other for decades and building this great relationship with Ingram. So I would say that she would be a great first touch point for the Ingram partners and clients. And then as we need to be looped in, she will engage with us to assist in any way that we need to help with clients understanding the value or with understanding where within their environment this would best fit.
Perfect. Well, I thank you both so much for sharing your knowledge, what you've created, your passion for, like I said, the enterprise and the SMB and how you're helping them. We appreciate you being here today with us.
It's been great, Keri. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much for your time, Keri.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram Texel with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Keri Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production with Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform.